All yours.
Hi, I'm Cindy Campbell of Cindy Campbell Dog Training in Clovis, California. And I've been doing positive reinforcement force-free games concept-based training for about the last 20 years. Currently, I have a standard poodle named Nick, who is my service dog, and he's also my sport dog. And I also have a Great Pyrenees named Poe, and she's my retired service dog, and she's basically doing whatever she chooses to do, and she's not forced to do anything. But she'll do anything for a cookie.
I'm Penny Beeman with You for Paws of Love, and I have been a trainer for about 30 years with dealing with mainly like rescue dogs. And then over the last 4 to 5 years, I've been working almost exclusively with service dogs and still a few clients with reactive dogs, but mainly service dogs, therapy dogs, and other forms of advanced training working dogs. I have a service dog named Azul. He is my 2-year-old dog. And I have a rescue named Cam. And we've had him for about 6.5 years now. He's going to be turning 8 years shortly. So I deal mainly with force-free training, using positive reinforcement and games. That's my niche. I want to help people learn to be able to engage with their dogs, creating a teamwork lifestyle to help everybody create the dog of their dreams based on that teamwork lifestyle.
Okay, and so we kind of want to dive into this because we don't want to take too long and bore everybody. We want to be fun. We want to be fun. We want to be the crazy old dog ladies and just basically have fun while we're learning about dogs. So, but we do have, we are here to learn about focus. So let's start with the definition of focus. Focus is being attraction, paying attention to the center of an activity. And it's something that we may or may not teach a cue for. I'm not a big fan of teaching a cue for just the word focus. Look at me, that's my, I may say something else to my dog just to get their attention, but I'm not a huge fan of just using that cue for that. They do need to have a reminder sometimes that, hey, I'm the job and I need you to pay attention to your job, but that doesn't have to be a harsh focus. We don't want them looking up at us in a heel with like their eyes popped up staring at us like that's the only way they move in such a militant way. We want them moving around nicely, but not in a way that's going to hurt them if they did that over a long period of time.
That's very true. I want to kind of look at focus for some people does mean just eye contact, but it really isn't just eye contact. Our dogs have more senses. They can hear us, see us, smell us. They could taste us if they want to, but my dog doesn't routinely taste me to show focus.
Aren't you lucky?
I want them to be able to use all of their senses in the environment. So focus to me means that they're aware of what I'm doing, what's coming up in front of us, and what we might need to be watching for so that we can move as a team no matter where we're at.
But with their handler as their center is correct. What I like. And so they may turn and look and sniff, and that's perfectly fine. They may need to find some information that way, but I want the attention coming back to me, and so that I know that they're not going to do something that's going to get me hurt. And I think you kind of feel the same way about that, Penny, since we both handle service dogs. And it's just, so we're out in public. Nick pretty much, if I go out, Nick goes out. And that's just the way it is. So pretty much I don't go out in public without a dog. And
Same way.
yeah, and so our dogs are out in public a lot more than the average dog. So we do have to think about a little bit about, is that something that we're going to put on cue? Are we going to have to do it a different way? Because people do things like make kissy noises, and they do everything they possibly can to distract the dogs.
And we need to face it. The second we step out our door, we open up to a whole wide world full of distractions.
Yes.
Everything from the wind blowing a leaf to a squirrel to another neighborhood dog. Everywhere we have cars on the road, there's always going to be distractions in our environment. So we really want to work toward training a level of focus where the focus is stronger than the distractions that are around us.
And if you're doing sports, if the dog, say you're running an agility course and you're sending a dog out to go do an obstacle, you want them focused on the obstacle, but you also want them to return that focus back to you as soon as they go through the obstacle, so they know where you're going to direct them next. So it's not just service dogs that need to have a good focus. It's dogs that we're doing multiple things with. In obedience, there's the expected head up, turned up, looking up at the master, in the old days, it was the master, the mistress. Now we want them looking up at the handler, but there's ways to do that without forcing. And
even my dog Cam, he's more of just a pet. He does have some service dog tasks, but he pretty much stays home. And I want him to be able to reorient to me no matter what I'm at. I don't want to have to ask him to focus on me all the time. And he does a lot of off-leash work on our property. So he has to have enough focus on me while he's enjoying sniffing around and chewing on sticks or whatever, even if I'm just out working in the yard. He has to have enough focus on me that if I move to a different area, he's joining me. And
yes,
he's not wandering off to go visit the neighbor or go chase the deer or whatever. He still has to stay oriented to me, no matter how far away from me he is.
And so that's the type of orientation we're talking, or the type of focus we're talking about. It's a good, hard, generalized focus. It's not staring up at you. It's the staring up with the, with the eyes is something I even see a lot of service dog handlers think that that's how you're supposed to run your service dog when you're asking your service dog to work and focus. But if you actually look at one of the dogs that Guide Dogs for the Blind puts out, one of their dogs, they are clearly leaning into their harness and they're focused at the job at hand and taking care of their handler and listening to their handler and what's going on behind them. So, their focus does not look like a competitive heel. So there's a difference between, and the focus is with a lab, you'll see them stare up, but that's a lab.
Well, that's just it. No matter who you are, what your dog is, you want to be able to develop a comfortable eye contact, to look at you, to reorient you, to check back at you. And
different
the how hard you train it and how strong you want that focus to be depends on the type of environments you generally go in with your dog. So some might need it more because they're in more environments, but every dog needs it a little bit based on whatever situations you're going to be entering with them.
And how much you get it is going to depend on, how much it's going to depend on the breed and the dog. And like Poe, my Great Pyrenees, is highly food motivated. If she thinks I have cookies in my pocket, she's going to stare me down until she thinks she's going to get a cookie. If she wants access to something, she's going to give me her full attention, and it is a hard stare. It's not a mild stare. It's a hard stare. But other times she just, she does the whole disappearing act. So it's what you train them and it depends on the breed and how much time you put into it. So Penny, I think we're probably
A little
ready
bit
for
about focus
questions.
cues.
Yeah, I think we need to talk about focus cues.
Yep. You can go first. I like your noise.
Okay, I feel like I'm doing a lot of the talking. So focus cues are something we need, but I'm personally one, since my dog is out in public all the time, I don't want to be doing a lot of dramatic hand signals and loud, barking voiced cues, because I don't think that dogs need that for starters, because they have better hearing than we do, and they tend to listen to body language on a much more subtle way than we do. And they will watch, and plus they sniff, and there's just a lot of ways they're paying attention to us, even if they're not staring at us. So generally, I don't have a whole lot of cues for focus, because I can usually tell as soon as my dog's not focused. It's very obvious. And then I might give him something like a type noise. And I know it sounds kind of strange, but there's a reason behind it. Because my dog is in public, and we get lots of kissy noises, we get lots of, oh, here, puppy, 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 and all kinds of things to distract the dog. And I don't want him responding to that, because they're none of his business. I will make that noise to get him back on me, and he always gets a high value reward for doing that. The other thing that I do tell him is I give him a little bit of a cue of either I'm the job or that's none of your business. And I'm your job comes from The Crown, when the king was telling Philip that the queen was his job.
Yes. I use the word focus as my cue mainly when I need my dog to reorient back to me. Like, say they are getting distracted by something, then that just kind of reminds them that they need to pay attention to what's closer to our immediate surroundings, like me, and maybe what's right in front of us, or that pole we're about to walk around. I also do kind of a tap on my leg, not usually at the same time. I use one or the other, kind of depending on the environment. But a tap on my leg is like, are you watching what I'm doing? I'm about to change. Usually that means I'm about to change whatever it is that I'm doing. So I need them to be aware that a change is coming. A little bit different, but they basically have the same purpose, to reorient it back to me. And it's nice focus for that, simply because it kind of what worked when I saw my dog getting mildly distracted. Now, if he is super distracted, that word's not going to mean anything to him, because he's not going to really hear it. But if he's mildly distracted, such as we're passing kids, and kids are one of his all-time favorite, he loves to socialize with kids, and he's wanting to like move toward them to go greet them, and we're busy doing something else, then I will remind him to focus on me. So he does that pretty good in those mild distraction environments with the word. So it rarely means look at me. He usually just his name will mean look at me to see what I'm doing. And then that's an eye contact kind of look. But we also play other games with eye contact and not just use that. I'm a big one in like teaching a cue on a temporary basis until the dog learns the behavior and knows the behavior well. And then I don't want to have to say that cue all the time. I can say that cue once in a while if my dog is missing it, or maybe more out of focus than what I really want him to be. But don't want to have to be micromanaging my dog all the time. I want them to kind of know the general guess of the behaviors that are going to get reinforced in the environment we're working in.
Right. And, it's especially important when you get dogs around big distractions. Now, Penny and I both, having service dogs, our dogs go everywhere. They're around a lot of distractions. Even just going to Lowe's or Home Depot, if you go anywhere near the lumber section and they're dropping 2x4s on the floor or something, it gets loud, and it's nice to be able to pull that focus back into you without making a big fuss over it. But you also want the focus there as much as possible before you're dealing with, before you're having issues, and while you're in there. The other environments that get loud and active, or like at dog trials, there's lots of dogs. You have no control over what the other dogs are doing. And when you go to some dog trials, people think they have to be amped up, running, and don't realize that your dog can sit in a crate all day. Take them out, play with them for 5 minutes, let them do their run, and come back, just warm them up, let them do their run, cool them down, and put them back in the crate. And you don't have to have them amped up and barking. If they want to bark in the rain, if they want to bark and have fun, that's fine. But you don't have to have the dog amped up all day at a trial. It's just not, it's not good for the dog, and it's not
good for anybody.
For anybody. It's not good for other people's dogs, and it's actually kind of rude. But it's easily, the ideal setting for me when I'm competing is to be able to stick Nick in a crate and have him sit in the crate with nothing going on. But that's not realistic because he's a service dog. He's got to go with me unless I have a service human. But, the reality is we just need to keep teaching them the focus, and making that an automatic behavior makes life easier. So we've got a couple of games, and everybody likes games, especially when we get to play those games with our dogs. And these are going to be kind of on the simpler side for a lot of you, and but they're really good games for starting a foundation of focus and trust with the dogs. So Penny, why don't you tell us about your game?
Well, and they all can be advanced to advanced levels.
Oh,
the games we've chosen. We're going to give you the detailed instructions every day. We're going to do kind of like this video that's more instructional. And then we're going to have information about our 2 games for the day. So with that, we'll have the detailed instructions to start it at a beginning level. Where you go from there is up to you. We'll also have videos of demonstrating those games with our dogs, so you can see how they're played, and sometimes on a beginning level and a more advanced level. So for today, my favorite game that really encourages focus on me is my positions game, which started as a basic hand target game, kind of like just follow that moving hand. But now it's morphed into, I can easily get my dog to go in any position around me, whether that's standing sideways in front of me, facing me, in a heel position, behind me, between my legs, doing figure 8s around my legs, anything like that. And you can teach so many different positions simply by playing the game with hand targets, that you can then later put those positions on cue as your dog learns to stop in certain positions. And it's the way I teach a lot of those body positions. And it's the way that I will build in the cue so that I can call for it when I need it behavior-wise with a younger dog. And eventually I want to be able to fade out those cues and just have my dog know that reinforcement is always available in that position. So that's basically my favorite game. It's really easy to start out with, because you start with just, 2 or 3 positions that your dog knows well. I like to use heel as one of them, because heel is one of those automatic positions that I have to train a lot. I want my dog heavily reinforced in that. So if I have a dog that's just learning how to heel, playing the positions game and throwing the heel position into it regularly kind of just gives you another opportunity to reinforce that position in relation to your body. But there are a million different positions you can come up with. There is really no no specific ones for the game. You have to work with what works for you. I also play the game predominantly either off lead around home, or, if we're in a green spot, or on my hands-free leash. So Azul not only had to learn to get into that position, but how to prevent the hands-free leash from tangling as he moves from one position to the other. So that can be quite challenging if we're moving, say, from a left heel to a right heel, or a front to a back, or even under my legs. If I call him to go under my legs, he actually has to back up to get out of that position to prevent the leash from being tangled. So like anything else, if you're brand new to this game, start it at home in a low distraction environment, and then you can slowly add in the distractions so that you can use this game to help get your dog's attention when you're facing that strange dog that's walking across the park, or that squirrel that's flirting its tail around, making your dog want to go chase it, or whatever it is, your dog's biggest distractions. So all the games throughout, start small, start simple, add in distractions slowly, and it will help you get that kind of focus you're looking for when you're around distractions by playing these simple games. Why don't you tell us about your game, Cindy?
Okay, so I like what we call it's an orientation game, and what you're teaching the dog is to return their focus back to you. So what I'll do is, initially, to start it off, I'll throw out a piece of food and have my dog go and get the piece of food, and as soon as he looks back at me, I mark it with the word. You can use a clicker, you can use a word, but I let him know that's what I wanted. You can say yeah, oh, yes, you can say nice, just multiple things you can say, but whatever is going to be your marker word. And then you throw the piece of there. Then when the dog's looking back at you, you've marked it, and you throw another piece of food out. And so you keep playing where the dog is, as soon as the dog is looking back, and you can increase the criteria as the dog starts to step towards you, and then you throw the food out. You can throw the food, you can throw the food behind you, you can throw the food between your legs and have the dog run between your legs. You can have the dog go around you and go through your legs. I mean, you can, there's an infinite number of ways to do this. You can have them do leg weaves to get the food, but the ultimate goal of the game is the dog is distracted by the piece of food. They know it's coming from you. They turn back and they look at you, and you mark it, and you give them another piece of food. You throw another piece of food, and it works with dogs that are food motivated and dogs that are not food motivated, because I have a dog that is not food motivated, and let me tell you, it is difficult sometimes to get him to take food rewards or use food rewards. So we have to do it. So we do other things, but this is a good way for him to actually get some calories in, and get his food, get him pinging back on me. Now, the good thing is he's a poodle, and poodles tend to love their people, so he has a tendency to be right with me. But the food out, the first piece of food out, dog looks towards me, moves towards me, another piece of food out. And it's easy, it's simple, and they learn really, really quick that the food is coming from you. So they reorient on you. But just the movement of throwing it around, though, different places, like you might throw it in front of you, you might throw it in back of you, you might throw it to the left, you might throw it to the right. That just gets the dog not sure where the food's going to go. So they're going to look at you, and sometimes, and having them run to get the food is a good thing. Having the food skip along the surface is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. You can I like to play this particular game off leash, so I like to start it in the house when possible, and then it's something, again, that can move out. When you move to grass, it gets a little more difficult because it's harder to find the food in the grass, but it is something that can be done on leash or off leash, and it's just you know, it's amazing what it does as far as turning the focus back to you.
It can be done with
then you
toys
got,
as well. Azul played a lot with tug toys because you can toss one tug toy out, he'll run and grab it and start bringing
yeah,
it back to me. I can present a second tug toy by me, which gets him all the way back to me, and then kind of keep trading toys out and switching around.
do a toy
And I
switch with
throw one
the,
away and I bring him back and away and back.
we did it, Nick likes to retrieve, so we did it with, he's got a little squirrel that's about this big, and we call it Squirrel. It's named, and I actually just replaced it the other day, and it's, the new one is already known as Squirrel. But anyways, that's smart dogs for you. But you can use that to play as well, because you're basically playing fetch and they're bringing it back into you. But what's launching it is not the check it. What's launching it is your hand. And what's getting it thrown again is they came back and gave it to you and you want it put in your hand. So if you're doing that, if you're using a soft toy like the squirrel, I would not recommend using that outside, because that would get really disgusting really quick.
Yes.
But the tug toys,
that's probably why I chose tug ropes when I was playing, because
yes.
I go through a lot of tug ropes. They don't last long. Not that my dogs
Cool.
really chew on them, but I tend to take them out and about, and then I don't pass them off to another dog or whatever. And I go through a lot of tug ropes, so I don't worry about them getting nasty. Get nasty,
Yeah.
away and get a new one. There are
Dollar
ones that you
Tree
can
sells
buy
them,
that
and
wash easily, but
well,
my dogs
Dollar
don't really chew on them, so I use cheap ones.
well, Dollar Tree sells them, and then the other thing you can do for them is make polar fleece, where you can like go to Joann or Fabric or wherever they sell fabric and get remnants of the fleece material, and you just cut it in strips and braid it.
Right. I've done that with old
And
shirts too.
yeah, or t-shirts or whatever you have. I like the polar fleece for it because it's fuzzy and it makes it fairly wide. But if you do the right number of t-shirts and the right thickness, it'll work too.
Well, we hope you
So,
guys all enjoy this Focus Around Distractions workshop. This day was based a little bit more on boring stuff because we want to make sure everybody's starting on the same page. Tomorrow, we're going to be looking at understanding the emotions that are going through our dog's body, head, brain, as they face distractions, and how we can use that to help develop stronger focus when we understand what they're feeling about a certain distraction.